Hey folks, walk with me. This question comes my way quite often. It's the question of I find myself living a life and pursuing things that aren't actually important to me. How do I change that? Or how do I live more authentically? Um, how do I find my passion, my calling in life, and say, forget everything else, I'm going for this? What I would say that would be probably most useful on a path to trying to find what it is that authentic you actually wants to do. Because I'm going to tell you, even if you think you know, you might not know. I think what you should do first is from the perspective of you don't ever actually end up pursuing or doing something you don't want to do. What I mean by that is there is some other driver, there's some other reason that you have pursued what you've pursued. For example, say you were trying to be an artist of some sort and it felt very connected and genuine, sincere for you to pursue being an artist. And then you found yourself in a situation where you had a child. And all of a sudden you felt that you could no longer pursue your artistic endeavors and you had to kind of drop everything and rally around getting an office job in order to pay the bills, have more stability, so on and so forth. You're in that instance, you probably then find yourself going, I'm living this life that I don't want, or I'm pursuing this career that I don't actually want. And that is true. You're at a day job that you don't want to be at. But what you're neglecting there is the fact that you got something from your artistic endeavors. There was something about continuing to pursue your artistic endeavors that felt too precarious, that felt too wrong, that felt too irresponsible. Whatever it is that made you feel that you had to swap that out. That was no longer a viable path. You dropping it satisfied that part of you, those fears that you had. And in the same token, landing yourself in this maybe boring but relatively stable office job, it gratified, gave some solace to the parts of you that feel that you can't actually make it as an artist, or that you can't make enough in order to care for the responsibilities that you suddenly have. And so there's something that the job is fulfilling that is maybe connected to the paycheck, but is different than the paycheck. Because something that you can get from a paycheck in terms of stability or a sense of doing the right thing or whatever it is, you could get that in different ways. It's just there's some framework of thought that you have around, I have to let the art go because it's lacking in this, or I'm lacking in this. I have to pursue the office job because without it, I won't be this, or I will be that, whatever it is. I won't be a good father, or I will be irresponsible, something. And so you've attached those feelings or those perspectives to the action. And if you were to be able to work on those feelings, to work on your sense of lack of stability, your sense of lack of self-confidence or self-assuredness, that you can figure out how to make the artwork work. um, your realization that if you try and do the best you can to make the artwork work and it doesn't, what that means, right? You still find yourself short. Well, what does that mean? If you do that and somebody in your family or your friend group tells you, wow, you're just not growing up, huh? We thought that this would turn you into a man. We thought you'd grow up and take responsibility. But you're doing the same old foolish thing. You know, if that comes at you, what does that stir up and how do you manage that? How do you make sense of it? And I think working with this slew of feelings that surround however it is that you ended up, for whatever reasons, for whatever rationale you have for ending up in the pursuit of something you don't want to do, there is some type of like whiteboard program there. In some way, shape, or form, you threw yourself and your pursuit of something into an equation. And you thought, me plus pursuit equals what? That's what you have to fill in. Equals good dad. Equals responsible partner. Equals accomplishment. Adoration from friend groups and family. Yeah. I find it valuable to think of it as an equation. I actually think that that helps to be able to sort of name the thing much easier. Or the things. I should pluralize everything. But yeah, I think dealing with those emotions and whatever those equations are, you know, whatever you think that you need to be seen as a good father, whatever it is that you consider a good father to be, or a responsible partner, or a stable brother, whatever it is, you know, why those things are so sort of sketched out in your mind, however they are. There's probably some relative black and white there, where it's like, good dad, bad dad. Good dad does this, bad dad does that. Right? And that somehow is then plugged into or tied up with your view of yourself and your capabilities and your resources and so I think that working your way through all of that and finding out, well, why am I pursuing this? There's a lot that I do get fulfilled out of it, and I don't mean the paycheck. That's not what I mean. I don't mean the title. I mean, what does the paycheck mean to you? And I don't mean that it means you can buy groceries, right? Again, it means that you don't have to fear living in poverty. You don't have to fear pursuing something that is more meaningful to you and failing at it, right? The risk of that level of failure. You don't have to risk the thought that you might not be able to feed your child, right? And that's what the paycheck means to you. That's what the title means to you, right? The title means to you that you've made it because now you have the title of doctor or or again, that you will find yourself being adored and accepted into different groups. And why is it important for you to be part of those groups? What is that providing you with? I think if you get down to these sort of source elements that surround this decision to pursue whatever it is that you're pursuing that you seem unthrilled about, that might give you enough space and enough understanding to then, again, from ground zero, not from I used to feels so good pursuing this thing, so I'm just going to revert to that, right? But if you have this space and you have this new outlook, this new way of conceptualizing things, now, if it's not to fulfill and pacify the things that you're already taking care of, now what does your pursuit look like? What is it that you want to endeavor upon? It's a longer path to get there than to just say, oh, whatever pops up in my mind is the first thing that I think I would do if I woke up with no responsibilities on any given day. That's the thing. I don't think that's the thing. Because if you wake up with no responsibilities tomorrow, you're still carrying around all of these notions and conceptions about yourself, feelings about whatever. And so there is no unloading of that without working on those things and addressing them directly. So it's a longer path, but I think it'll produce something ultimately that has multiple advantages. I'm reluctant to use these like utilitarian words, but there will be more than just, oh, okay, I'm out of the job that I really despised. There will be much, much, much more to it than that. The depth and the meaning is really amplified in what's produced by the ways in which you pursued trying to come to this conclusion. All right, folks. Well, if you walked with me or watched along this far, I certainly appreciate it. And as always, I will see you in the next video.